to the very first live episode of The Scene, live from 18th and Laurel Studios. I'm your host, Bubba Starts. With me today, my cohort for the last week or so, right? Luke Graves. How are you, Luke?
I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. So, Luke, we live in the thriving metropolis of Tyndall here, and as you know, we have a lot going on, and we've had a busy week here. East River for you. You're from the Rapid City area. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll get into what we've been up to lately. And yeah, go ahead. And who is Luke Graves?
Yeah, I grew up in Rapid City. Pretty early in my school career, I started gigging out, playing with different people. Even kind of started a high school group. Kind of wanted to play jazz music with just more people. Just going around playing, jamming, playing blues, and after a while, had really enjoyed and just wanted to take it full career straight out of high school. So I started joining different bands, playing with different groups, and over time I've accumulated my own originals, writing my own songs, and just wanting to pursue my solo career within the recent. And so I joined, I just got done playing with the Rowan Grace band this last year, and then before that I was playing with Tanner John's band. Really enjoyed playing with those guys. It's just kind of I've got my foot in the door now of playing with these different groups, realizing how things move around here and how the business goes. And I think it's time that I just want to focus on myself, get myself out there, and then have something to show for my own music, and get my own followers and fans and things. So just looking forward to that. And coming out here has been really nice to, get some connections out here, East River, hopefully travel around a little bit more within the state, and get connections there. Like you were saying, is just try to get as big as possible as we can to South Dakota before we then can inevitably move out and try to reach some other places.
And Luke's alluding to a conversation that we've had. So we've been spending about the last week together. Hello to all of our viewers on Facebook Live with us, and later on when we release the podcast video as well. Did you roll that one too? Oh, we should have turned that one on. Go ahead. Sneak over there real quick.
I'll do it.
So we're just setting up the studio for video and kind of just hanging out today. Really fortunate to have Luke joining me for the last week and to have someone else to help put some energy. Obviously, a lot of you know us. Danielle and I put a huge amount of effort into all of these shows and putting all this stuff out there. And, this week Danielle wasn't necessarily able to join us. So it was really nice to have Luke in town. We set up a whole lights show at Dr. Lucky's this week that turned out really cool. Thank you for that, Luke. And we've been playing some music. So your first time, I'm assuming, at Stringers in Yankton last week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hadn't been to Stringers before.
Awesome. Well, can you tell me a little bit about it? Because I've put a few people, Devin and your cousin Chris Graves have been there a time or two now. So can you speak about Stringers, and then we'll get to Chris and some other things later.
For sure. Stringers, it was cool coming in. It's a sports bar, but it doesn't feel too sporty like most sports bars kind of would. It doesn't feel like it's B-dubs or anything like that. It feels like it's a normal kind of bar just out here. But there's these huge screens everywhere playing the games, and it seems like a lot of the crowd that was coming there was for the March Madness basketball games. And so it was cool. Yeah, people were enjoying the music, looking up at and watching basketball, and just hanging out. It was a good time. It was a really low pressure, easy show, and it was surprising too out of Yankton because I didn't expect that.
Well, and that's why I love it. So I've been living here in Tyndall now for it'll be 4 years this August, and we have really discovered some little hideaways that you wouldn't assume would have live music at all. But not only is the management very supportive of what we're doing, but the patrons just love it. Some of the people that we work with, Alyssa Kaiser, who was on our pilot episode, and some of these, she's a frequent player down there as well, local gal going to Mount Marty University, and, young people like yourself. And I think it's important because the patrons, for the most part out here, are in that 50 to 60 range, or 40 to 60 range. They're much older than you, I guess is what I'm saying, right? So I think it's very fun for them to come and see these young people kind of getting out there, and I'm so happy that we can kind of help to facilitate that. And a big thank you to Stringers and Amber over there and to Tom, the owner, for being such big supporters of what we're doing in the scene, and a big part of what we're doing for the future too. So we got big plans for Stringers, and I thank you for your kind words about the room. It means a lot to me. I kind of feel personally invested in a lot of these places. I'm constantly recommending people to them, right?
Well,
and
it's cool because music, if you think about it, for the longest time, it's always been a luxury, and it should still be viewed as that. Even though you can pull out your phone and listen to it, it's still a luxury to have, especially live music. And everybody, whether they think about it or not, loves having events and loves having things going on, loves having live music playing. And so being able to get to these places that are usually in small towns, you wouldn't really expect too much of a thing. Like, people want events happening. And so by you coming in and being able to facilitate, a scene coming around or more people, like, people want these things to happen. They just don't know how to do it.
Right.
And so by having you come in and be able to book or just get more shows or find people to play at these things, because they might not promote as a music venue, but everyone wants to be a music venue deep down, right?
Right. And that's what I'm trying to, what we're building here is we want to be your person that provides that music. Even if you only do one event a year, we'd love to help you so that you don't have to worry about it. Our name represents a good show, right? So we're really trying to step out this year and to prove that. Right. But that's reliant on guys like you and Devin and gals like Alyssa, that when I recommend you to these places and get you in there, that you still show up and perform, and you're professional and you do that. Right. And it's been so fun to watch it grow and to watch you young people grow as well. I know that you have a very long career already, but you're still a very young man. And this is just the start of so many things, and for you to be in on the ground floor, really, and to be kind of, I know that you know how to do a lot of the things, but I think it's helpful for you to kind of be with me when I'm doing maybe things that you haven't done before, and willing to talk it out with you and to mentor, if you will, right? Where you don't need it as much as some other kids would, but not everybody has the Luke Graves career, right? They don't have this arc where they're, gigging at 13, and kind of out there in the world. So, and that's an interesting segue actually into a little bit of that. Can you talk to being a young musician in the scene, and just kind of everything that comes with that, especially being as accomplished as you are as a pianist and as a jazz pianist at that? Kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. There is a lot that goes into it, and not a lot that people would really think about too much, but completely makes sense when they hear someone say it. Just little things like even well, for me, because I wanted to be a jazz musician, and jazz is very respected. It's a very traditional type of music. And so for a young guy to come in and not really know all of the full grasp of it, a lot of people kind of passive aggressiveness, there's some just disrespect just because they don't, it should be a community that everyone's trying to work together to help get bigger and help people play more with people, help them get better. But instead, as a younger person trying to fit in with, guys that are 20, 30 playing in these bands, it's a lot of time you're getting pushed out of just like, no, we feel like we're better than you, so we're just going to stick with our own people, and then like you'll get there eventually. When the outlook should be, no, let's try to help this guy because he's young. Let's get him going. Let's show him what we know. But it was a lot of the opposite. It was a lot of this competitive nature of just like, there's this young guy. It's just like, no, I gotta be better than him. I've been doing this for 10 years. When it should never be a competitive thing. It should always be we're trying to help each other out, trying to improve as musicians, improve as business people, and try to help people get gigs and things. And so that was probably the hardest part of kind of getting into it at a young age. But there was a lot of great things about it, though, too.
Right. Well, and I want to speak to that. Can I stop you for just a second? Because I heard a similar thing from a mutual friend of ours, Bodie Lindy, and his dad. So they went down to Nashville, and I got a story of how I helped them get there. That's a story for another day.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
when we have Bodie on,
Yeah.
we'll
I know Bodie.
we'll
And
have
I've
them.
played shows with him and so.
Right. So he's a very young man, very talented. I actually had him at a little thing that we did in Lead for Rally. It's been a few years ago now, but he was even younger, right? It was before he hit his growth spurt. Now he's about 4 inches taller than I am. But anyway, so I saw that talent early and was like, man, got to get this kid out. Well, they're going to Nashville, and when they get down there, really until people found out that he was from South Dakota and was going home very soon, did they even really let him in the jams and kind of even give him any shine or any, any space at all, really. So it shows to that competitive nature, and especially of a place like Nashville, man. People are playing for tips, right? It's a dog eat dog world there, and I think that's what's so cool. And something that I just spoke with Mitchell Stafford about on another podcast episode, and that we have a little Nashville out here, right? I mean, it's kind of across the whole state where you have all of these venues. And he was talking about the Black Hills and Sturgis as being one of the biggest musical, events in the world, really, when you break it down. If the whole event was one festival, right? We have more stages there, and it's like, well, yeah, when you put it that way, you do have that. So what a scene. And a lot of the Black Hills scene piggybacks off of that. I feel like Sioux Falls and where we're building now, and Mitchell especially, they've kind of been forgotten about, and there hasn't been a whole lot of life breathed into these places in a long time. Right. And I think we have plans to do all of those little things. And so that's where I've kind of stepped in, Luke, and you've kind of been tagging along with me this last week or so, and seeing what it is that we're building, the people that we're talking to. I mean, I'm talking with, heads of radio stations, and, these are business partners of ours now. We're going to use advertising we have to tell people about our shows. And there's very, few ways to do that. Right. And we have to use some of these traditional media. Social media is great. Make sure you guys are liking, following everywhere you see us. If you're seeing this right now, make sure that you're sharing it with your friends too, right? Those things are so important to grow this whole thing, because we just need to connect the community. We know all of these amazing people are out there, and I'm not just talking artists. I'm talking about just the patrons of the arts in general, right? There's so many of these people that are out there, but we don't have somewhere to go to get all the information about what's going on from each side of the state, right? I mean, there's people every single day that are either coming from the Black Hills to the eastern side of the state or vice versa, right? My in-laws are literally on Terry Peak right now, in my hometown essentially, right? And out there while I'm here. Yeah. So we're always traveling back and forth, and just to make those connections. And I mean, right here, Rapid City meets, Tyndall. And working together and set. I mean, really, this whole video setup doesn't happen without you too, Luke. So I thank you again for having some energy and just the want to, really, right? We want to build this media out to have artists and to give them an outlet. I mean, now we're set up, and now we've kind of seen how to do it, right? We can kind of host anybody here. Yeah. So if you're out there, everybody, all the artists that we have contact with, when you guys are seeing this, hit me up. I would love to have you on the show, either this way. I did 2 phone interviews today, guys. Hit us up, man. This is a great thing that we're building, right? And Luke's been a great part of that. Devin Sants. And another friend that we've had around and has played out here as well, Chris Graves. So you guys share a last name. Can we dive into that just for fun on the episode right now?
For sure.
Can we? Is there some bad blood between you guys, or?
I don't know if it was bad blood, but I had a run-in with Chris one time, and I was trying to pronounce his last name, and I just couldn't get there, and he was trying to help me along. Well, the next morning I had woken up and I saw a post, he changed his name to Chris Graves, and I am Chris Graves. He's big promoting things. So, I think he just got to a position. He was having difficulties with his own name. So I think he just took mine, man, and he was like, if Luke can pronounce this one, I think I might just take that.
Yeah.
And I think it's been working well for him though, Yeah. It's a lot easier. Yeah. It flows off the tongue. It's a good name.
Great marketing.
It's a great name.
Great marketing. I support it 100%. 100%.
Yeah, you should change your last name to Sparks.
I should. Boy, have I heard that one a time or two, right? No, all in good fun. Chris Huzengay, of course. Chris Graves, his stage name.
Yeah,
All in
obviously.
good
No,
fun.
I love him, and I've always thought it was funny. I don't even think he's thought about it before.
No, Chris, we have been having some laughs
we've been
about
having-
it
yeah,
all
we've been
week
making some
long.
jokes.
So glad we could share it on the ep today. And yeah, how fun. Well, Luke, last Saturday we played. Have you played Double D's before that?
I had never been in
The Double D Saloon in Brandon, South Dakota, a place that Starts and Ends has played a few times now. We had some fun jamming in there, man, didn't we?
Yeah, we rocked the house on that one. They got a nice stage. You don't run into every bar that has a stage that can fit a whole 4 or 5 piece, with comfortable room, and so
With elbow room,
with elbow
right?
room,
Yeah.
man. And so that's always nice to walk into a bar and see a stage that is halfway decent.
Right. And that's another reason why we can step in as DBS Entertainment and Starts and Ends and all the things that we're doing and kind of have the successes, because there's so much work, right? There's so many bars around that a lot of them are sitting empty at times because they can't find the people to fill them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where it's making room for me to be like, okay, well, I know the people, I can coordinate some schedules and we can kind of figure out, how everybody gets paid and to increase the pay a little bit for the bands that are reaching for that. Right. I don't believe that every band, and there should be like a base minimum. I know a lot of people support that, and I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers today, but I think there's a lot of bands out there that are probably making too much money for what they're bringing to the table, and that ultimately kind of degrades what good bands that are reaching to do a little bit more get paid, right?
Because in the end, the venue is booking you because they're hoping to make money in some capacity, right? They're not just giving you their stage so that you can do whatever they want. It's like, no, you're in their place of business. They're looking to get drinks. They're looking to get business, more people to flow in, maybe show up another time to get more drinks, when they're not having music. But if a band comes in there and sets a minimum price that is completely unreasonable for a venue of its size, it's you have to work with the venue and see what's within their budgets,
Right.
And it's a certain point where, I think venues are hesitant about their budget because in the past, maybe bands or entertainment hasn't brought up enough people or brought in enough interest into their establishment. But that's usually in the case of when venues themselves are handling bookings. Bring someone like you in there who knows the people, gonna bring the right people in, who's gonna help your establishment, not just a cover band that is just word of mouth that's getting their friends and families out there.
And it's not even to have cover band versus this. Some places are that, right?
Yeah,
some places are that. So it's really curating to the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I talk so much about relationships, Luke. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Getting to know the room. I mean, last night we played at the Back 40. Luke and I did, and not a lot of people, right? But it was so important to me to play, one, to get my energy kind of in the room and to perform in that space and to just feel everything out. But I need to spend time in places and to listen. I'm listening to their playlist that they're doing, to their dinner crowd, right? And paying attention to that and like, oh, maybe country would work here better. We're talking jazz and blues, but, maybe a country act once in a while wouldn't be such a bad thing. So, and for me, I wasn't able to do all of that without, while I was still giving 40, 50 hours a week to like the regular job, right? The 9-to-5 job. And that's why I was so fortunate to have the support of my wife and my family to really allow me to spread my wings more than anything, right? I can be so much more productive in all of these things and my energy be better spent elsewhere for doing music full time. So I envy someone like you who maybe in your young age, right, don't have the responsibilities yet.
Yeah, I don't have as many bills to pay.
Right. Well, and right, the wife and the kids and everything at home, the responsibilities start to stack up. You're able to do less. But so I know you have your own band. You have the Luke Graves, and Luke Graves is his own man, but you've also spent a lot of time being in other people's bands, and you kind of spoke about that. Can you talk about, for our listeners that maybe aren't aware of what it is to kind of be a freelance musician.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't think about, especially like singer-songwriters who are going around and looking for musicians to play for them. Because there's at a point in my life where I was fully set on just becoming a pianist. I was backing, playing for different people, and I wasn't ever gonna throw my own show. You know, the only time I'd ever have my show is if it was an instrumental, like background pianist thing. I'd fully set on that, and within that, you make a lot of connections, and I was playing with every band that I could with, you know, and just saying yes to everyone in the Black Hills, because there's limited show capabilities when you cannot, you know, ask a venue yourself to, hey, can I play
Right.
here? You know, it's only
Right.
I'm only limited by the amount of shows and the amount of things that are going on with other people who can then book me, you know.
And for a
it's,
younger person, age can also be a factor in that as well.
and so it's keyboardist is on a different spectrum, but I feel especially that way towards horn players, because a horn player, like almost 90% of the time, is not gonna
you're not doing
gonna
a
book
horn
your
and
own.
vocals show.
Yeah, like you can't, you know. At least I you know,
Right.
I can do some other things while I'm playing, or even have a bass line and melodies with
Right.
my different hands. But a horn player is very limited, and so
Anything you're using your mouth to play really doesn't lend itself to singing and,
Yeah.
and having that show, right?
and so it's getting them out there and playing, and so it was about 2 years ago when I kind of started that, realizing that I probably couldn't make it work here as just a gigging freelance, as just a backing pianist. And so I wanted to start doing my own solo shows, and I'd done instrumental jazz shows with a band like with my name on it. But I wanted to start just trying to sing songs, because I was playing with these shows and I was realizing the songs that people were singing just to, you know, make the crowd happy. And I'm like, man, I could really do that. Like, it doesn't really take that much. Like, I don't even have to sound that good. And that's what it started with, was me just playing, you know, BS bars, just singing, you know, 80s rock tunes and country. And it's just like, you know, it gets you by. And that's not anywhere near what I usually play. And I'm butchering it stylistically completely, but people know the songs, people are tipping, they love it, and so it's working. And throughout that time period, I'd actually developed, and I really wanted to focus on my singing capabilities. And so within that time period, that's really what I've been focusing on, is trying to sing better, trying to write lyrics better. And so the last 2 years, that's been my main focus, is kind of that transition from becoming a backing pianist to now becoming the front center man of, like, I'm doing my thing now, you know.
Yeah. How fun. I hear so much of my younger self when you to some of those gigs are what get you back on the horse when you're restarting your career, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate the bar gigs and coming back up, buddy. I have been in your shoes. It was a long time ago now, a lifetime ago, really. But it's like, I can't help but laugh when I'm listening to you. I'm just going, he sounds just like I was.
Yeah,
just
man.
like I was.
Yeah,
So
you got to do what you got to do to get by.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's, and
well,
so you go.
and I'm enjoying it right now, but I'm also at a different point in my career, right? You want to reach for the stars, and to reach, I know it's easy for our young people to want to move to the big cities, and I guess that's why I'm trying so hard to build something viable here, is that I don't want you to go. I want you to stay here.
Yeah.
I like you, right? You know, and the same thing goes for other gals, you know, like Alyssa Kaiser, who could very easily go and try to chase a career in Nashville, similar to Tiffany Johnson, who I know that you've played with, right? Who's down in Nashville and recording and playing the shows and chasing that dream. But I think there's something up here to where these venues actually pay very well for the most part for live music, because there is maybe that lack of it. So yeah, let's let the cream rise to the top, right? But also provide avenues for new people to start playing, right? The open mics is very big to me. The songwriter showcases nights, you know, at Club David coming up here in May and June, the 2nd and 4th Thursdays, we're going to have curated songwriter nights. So you're going to get to hear some of these original music from the songwriters that are also being featured on this podcast and on other places, right? So it's all kind of working together, and how interesting it is that it's all coming together right now. Right. Today's been a huge day for me, just personally, and just kind of sharing with the Facebook Live crowd. Right. I've recorded 3 podcasts today, right? Where I've gotten, maybe not full episodes, but I'm putting in that work, and it's me just talking with my friends. It's me talking with Devin, and it's me talking with Mitch Stafford, right? And I'm like, if it's this easy to make content, we should have been doing this a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
But also we're doing it now, right? So I think that's the important thing, and I really appreciate you and everybody else that's kind of contributing to it. And the cooler you guys think it is, I think the cooler it actually becomes, right? Because otherwise it's just me kind of blabbing into a microphone. And so you guys make it cool. And I want to thank you, Luke.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all right. You're all right. So we've been on for a bit now. We could probably start to wrap things up.
Yeah,
you want to talk about, we got a big show coming up tomorrow at the Den.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Sioux Falls. New venue I haven't played at yet. For our Sioux Falls listeners that probably won't hear this show anyway, this will all be aired after the fact. This is mostly for our Facebook Live crowd. But so we'll be at the Den tomorrow, April 6th. I know PBR is in town in Sioux Falls right there at the Denny. So if you're going to PBR to check it out, make sure you swing by the Den and come see us. Luke, you excited for this one?
Yeah, man, it should be a fun show. Looking forward to playing a bigger stage with you because I've really
How honky tonk can you get?
I can get pretty honky.
Yeah,
pretty tonky.
We're clipping that. Well, Luke, I appreciate you jumping on the pod and all the other effort you've put into this. And I want to thank my wife, Danielle, who's behind the scenes doing a lot of the graphics. Everything that you guys see has been her. Yeah, it's and putting up with me, right, is the hardest job of all. My name is Bubba Starts. I appreciate you all for tuning in. This is DBS Entertainment. This is The Scene. You guys make it what it is. So I appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening and sharing the show. For everything The Scene, go to patreon.com/thescenesd. Follow us on all your social media channels and make sure to make yourself part of The Scene.